I have the Balatro theme song stuck in my head. It's really good. Third strike facts. Been like 20 years playing this game, and there's all kinds of misinformation and just things that just aren't true. So I've been trying to get down to the bottom of this, the nitty gritty, and just have concrete facts. And even with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some caveats or some of these are just flat out wrong. I don't trust it anymore. That's how this game goes. You think you know a guy, and then it goes around and changes the rules. There's some special rule. But today I'm gonna do my best to relay what I've learned about what is the truth about third strike. The first thing we're gonna get into is the parry window. How long is the parry active? We can learn this through the training mode mod, and I made a video about how to set this up previously. Maybe I can do one of those, like put the video up here somewhere. So there's a tab in the special training where you can go to parry, and it shows you how active your parry is available. So you got your forward parry, your down parry, air parry, and anti-air. Now the parries on the ground are the same duration. You can see by their meter length. And if you look closely, maybe I can slow this down and actually find out what the cooldown is. If you look closely, it's 10 frames for the forward parry, 10 frames for the down parry. When you parry while airborne, it's 7 frames. When you parry as an anti-air, we're looking at 5 frames. So when somebody jumps at you, your parry window is decreased drastically from just a regular parry in neutral. And that's why it can be kind of difficult to anticipate the parry timing for when somebody jumps at you. It's a really weird exchange what happens between anti-airing with parry, the timing of their normal, when they can parry in the air. It's a really interesting dynamic, because now we know that there is 7 frames that you can parry in the air, but that's not going to cover the whole duration of the jump. So typically you have a parry that is high in the jump or low in the jump if they think you're going to anti-air them. So it's a really weird exchange, and I think it's really interesting that the parry windows are that different. Now, another thing about parry is when you tap down, it increases your parry window. So if you were to parry and block, it cancels out your parry. You can see this with the forward meter. I'm actually hitting back, and you can see the green meter disappear. When I tap forward, you can see the green is allowed to complete. So I get the full 10 frames of the parry. But the same thing is true for down. You tap down and you get the full duration. If you're to tap down and then block, it'll disappear and you won't get the full duration of the parry. Now, I've recently learned 2 things. Well, I guess I've applied one thing that I already knew, and then I just completely learned a new skill, which is Hadou Walk. I made a video about that today. These 2 parries between, I guess all of them, probably, but the forward and down parry do not share the same cooldown. So what do I mean by cooldown? When you tap forward, you can't just keep tapping forward and getting a parry each time. The orange bar represents how long it takes before you can parry again. So it's like a cooldown. The cool thing to me, the cooldown thing to me, is that the forward and down parry don't share the same cooldown. So you can tap forward and then down, and then technically you have a parry active for up to 20 frames if they're 10 frames each, if you time it exactly perfectly. But that's a long time. So something in the case of Yun crouching medium kick in the shoulder, you can pretty much always parry it if you tap forward and then tap down. I suggest doing it in that order, because he might do the dash punch, which is a forward parry. So yeah, I think that's really cool. You can linger your parry, and keep in mind whenever you walk forward, that is also considered a parry. When you walk forward, you have parried. So if you walk forward, you can't parry again unless you use the ancient technology known as Hadou Walk. MLV taught us in 2009. I knew that in 2004, bro. So if you go from diagonal down to forward, you don't get a parry. So that means you go to diagonal forward, you can parry again, where normally if you walk forward, you won't be able to do this. And I made a video showcasing this earlier today. So they call it the Hadou Walk because it's probably easier to just do a fireball first and ensure that you don't tap forward accidentally, perhaps, and then you're able to parry. It's pretty cool. So here's what happens if I try to parry before the fireball hits me, and that's kind of how this fireball is designed, the slow and the fast fireball. At certain ranges, it's hard to distinguish, especially against Remy. It's hard to determine which speed it is. This might actually really help out in the Remy matchup. So I can't parry again. But if I walk forward with the Hadou method, I can just tap forward because I'm not spending the cooldown on my parry because it's just not parrying. I think that's really cool. Sweet. So the cooldown needs to be 20 frames. The cooldown also, I'm noticing that it changes for the air and the anti-air. So that is something that I should investigate as well. That's pretty cool. Because it means you're able to parry twice in the air, but if the cooldown was longer, you might not be able to do that. So you're able to parry when you jump, and then you can parry again. So I think this is really interesting. If for some reason you were to parry early while you jump, which a lot of people do defensively, that means you can't parry at the height of your jump because you'll still have the cooldown. You'll be able to parry again as you're landing, but at the very height of your jump, you'll be locked out of parry. I think that's really cool. So the next thing is about damage while crouching and hit stun, the amount of hit stun that occurs when you're crouching. I don't know of a scenario where you don't take more damage while you're crouching. So we're gonna do medium punch with Hugo, and you can see 143. His health went down to 143. When he's crouching, his health goes down to 138. He takes 5 more damage due to that. That's pretty much it. When they're crouching, they take more damage. How this applies is down parry. People down parry on wake up quite a bit, which is more punishing than if you're to forward parry because you're going to take more damage for down parrying. So sometimes people down parry against Hugo and sometimes it pays off, but his clap cannot be down parried. If you down parry on wake up and I do a clap, that is going to hurt a lot. Especially if I'm playing Hammer Frenzy. It's just going to keep scaling because it's going to keep hitting you while you're crouching. So if you know that you're going to get punished anyways, it's guaranteed that your opponent is going to punish you. You can actually choose to hold back to get hit standing rather than crouching, so you take less damage. Now, about the hit stun. The hit stun can change when your opponent is crouching on hit. Not all the normals will do this. If you look through the various Third Strike frame data websites, some of them have it listed where it will show you which will have more advantage while they're crouching. So you can see this column is hit advantage, and then you have the crouching hit advantage. Sometimes there's no difference. Like in the case of Hugo's crouching jab, they're both -1 apparently. But for his strong, it's a 0 advantage, but a +1 advantage on hit. +1. Even. Okay, this mod agrees. See, I don't trust anything. I don't trust the website. I don't trust my friends that I've known for 20 years. I don't trust the mod. I don't even trust results at this point. Third Strike is very deceptive. Let me get down to these facts. There's also some special cases where the hit stun changes on block. As far as I know, this applies to Ryu, Q, and Chun-Li. So for some reason, maybe it's a programming error, I don't know. Let's take a look at Dudley when I'm hitting medium punch when he's standing. -5, terrible, by the way. When he's crouching, also -5. Same thing with Ryu. Now we're at -5 with Dudley. Ryu, when he's standing, also -5. But when he's crouching, -3. Why does it do that? I don't know. Same is true for Chun-Li, although I think medium punch can whiff on her from too close, right? -3. And Q. -3. So we got -5 on most standing characters and -5 on most crouching characters. But what about standing? For some reason, Q takes more block stun while he's standing also. But this isn't necessarily that bad of a thing. Kinda, sorta. You also have to think in terms of how much throw invul that's also giving you. In some ways, it's a benefit. It means your opponent has to wait an extra frame or two longer against these characters in those states to actually throw. And that's something that I'll get into next. Actually, that is next. The throw invul window of this game. So throw invul seems to me to be 6 frames. You wake up with 6 frames of throw invul. I suppose on block 2, maybe on air reset, not sure. Yeah. Now, this game, for the longest time, I did not realize that Normals are covered by throw invul. I'll give you an example. This is the max. This is the slowest a normal can be, which is Dudley's heavy kick. If you put Dudley on reversal heavy kick, if this changes for you, please send me an email. But from what I can tell, you cannot throw Dudley if he wakes up with heavy kick. And I propose that it's because he's covered by throw invul. So I've never been able to do this. I've tried and I've tried. I've never been able to throw him out of heavy kick because it is covered by throw invul. That's at least what I think is the fact. So, long ago, Dudley players would wake up with heavy kick and it would work and nobody knew why. This is one of those reasons. The other reason was because people would often down parry on their opponent's wake up, and you can't down parry Dudley's heavy kick. So it's actually a legit option. And so are many things in this game, such as Chun. This option sucks, but I'm gonna just go over it to demonstrate. You actually can't throw Chun if he wakes up with heavy kick. Forward heavy kick, excuse me. If he does forward heavy kick, it actually beats throws. It's really silly because although he's not airborne immediately, if you do it on as a reversal, the throw invul will cover him until he is airborne. So you actually can't throw him out of this move. Problem is, it's unsafe on block. It's just gonna lose if they attack you. That should punish it. So it's not the best, but it is interesting in my opinion. It's one of those weird Chun gimmicks that sucks, but you can do something. Yeah. So another thing that I've made a video about, it was actually snuck in with the Ken video that I made a long time ago, is that you cannot tech throws if you parry. You cannot tech their throw if you input a parry. However, you can still throw yourself. I don't know how you do that physically, but you can still perform a throw and then they tech your throw, but you cannot tech a throw. Let me show you. Easy throw tech, right? If I input down, I will not be able to tech. So here's down. I down parry. I cannot throw tech. If I throw fast enough, I'm gonna throw them out of their dash. But they'll be teching my throw if I do this correctly. Like that, I threw them and then they teched my throw. So that's really fascinating to me. You're punished for parrying by throw. And it's kind of interesting that it's the same way in Street Fighter 6 in a weird way in some ways. Another thing about throw is that they are really fast. Because it's 2 frames, it's really fast. I think this is a game where you can visually recognize when your opponent is standing up and meaty them. But it's not the easiest thing to do. You mess it up sometimes, and if you don't do it perfectly, they're gonna counter hit you with their throw basically. So waking up with throw, not a bad option. Not a bad option. So one thing that I want to do more research on is understanding, like truly understanding the difference. This is a really hot topic, really heavily debated, and it's based on feeling a lot of the times, and a lot of information that's just hard to find and hard to figure out. And my question, the number one question is, what is the difference between arcade hardware, super gun, and emulated on a laptop with a high refresh rate? What is truly the difference? The answer is, I still don't know. If you know, maybe in the comments you can provide some info, because at the end of the day, it would be lovely to have legit Third Strike emulation and it is at least really close to arcade. I think that would be awesome. Or even actually the same, maybe, who knows. But this is what we kind of do know, is that Third Strike should lag for about 2.6 frames. For some reason, this game doesn't run at 60 hertz. It runs at 59.59. Don't know why. That's pretty much all I got. So 2.6 average is what Third Strike should lag at on a CPS 3. It should be the same for Supergun. I would like to think you can duplicate this on Fightcade with Run Ahead, maybe. I just wish that we can get a clear answer on this, because there's so much debate, and honestly, players are often disincentivized to even go to tournaments if they're not on real arcade hardware. So it'd be really great to have a definitive answer on how this works. I mean, there's so many elements that go into Third Strike Maybe the buttons don't work on the arcade. Maybe the screen flickers. Maybe the input lag is on the converter and there's something else in between all these processes that adds a half a frame and then another half frame is added by the monitor. It's just, it's a nightmare. But it would be lovely to have the truth. But this seems to be the standard, 2.6 frames, average. Okay, and finally, the last thing about Third Strike facts, which I'm sure there's many other things to go over, but this one might surprise you. In modern fighting games, the hit stun by active frames are typically uniform, which means that they all have the same hit stun that are applied. If you hit an attack meaty, meaning it hits in the later active frames, you're gonna get more advantage. You're gonna get more frame advantage. And sometimes it allows for bigger combos and maybe even set up a scenario where you're plus on block where you normally wouldn't be otherwise. This game doesn't care. This game, if you do meaty attacks, sometimes you lose frame advantage. So what that means to me is that they paid special attention to detail on each individual active frame and tailored the hit stun to serve a specific purpose. In a game like Street Fighter V, you see this medium punch with Ryu. It's got 3 active frames, +2 on block, +6 on hit, so that means it links into itself. But these active frames, each of these active frames have hit stun attached to them. So when you hit on the first active frame, this is where this number is coming from, the 6 and the 2. If you hit on the second active frame, it'll be +7 on hit, +3 on block. If you hit on the third active frame, +8 on hit, +4 on block. That's usually how it behaves. Sometimes you have a move that hits multiple times and the active frames are split up. But what's happening, the reason why that you're getting more advantage is because you're recovering for less time while the active frames have the same amount of hit stun. So when you hit that first active frame, you still have to recover for the second and third active frame and then the rest of the recovery. If you hit on the last active frame, the third active frame, there's no more active frames that you have to animate through. It's just recovery. That's it. Third Strike don't care. Third Strike does whatever it wants. So in the case of Makoto, if we look at the standing medium punch, the hit is the active frames. It's got 11 active frames. So that should mean on hit, you can get this up to +17, right? If it followed the same rules. Spoiler alert, it don't. There's a maximum amount of advantage that they tailored, which means that every active frame has a hit stun tailored specifically to whatever they wanted it to be. So, medium punch with Makoto. Medium punch with Makoto is +7 on hit. I've got 11 active frames, right? Why can't I get to, what, 18 or 17? Let's see if I ever get to 17. Wow, that was pretty meaty. Still +7. +7. Still +7. That was very late. +7. +7. I can't get it more. I don't even believe it. Wow, +8. I got to 8. So does that mean that every single active frame, they basically had to reduce the hit stun by 1 to make it be either 7 or 8. Maybe you can get to 9. What this does is it prevents combos that you may otherwise be able to have. Like heavy punch would be able to combo off of medium punch, which I think is still possible against some characters when they're crouching. Maybe you can get that to work if you can find the advantage. So, Makoto is prevented from gaining a lot more frame advantage due to this. Elena. One of the things people wish Elena had was a light kick or a chain off of light so she can hit confirm stuff. Like light into uppercut, something like that, or even like jab into uppercut, but she can't do it. But what if we look at the same rules of the newer fighting games and we apply it to Elena? Could there possibly be something that allows you to chain into a light or to combo into a light with the meaty property? Let's take a look at Elena's short. This move is actually excellent. The amount of advantage on block and on hit, and it actually has 4 active frames. Wow, that means maybe you can get to like +7 on hit. that would mean it can combo into itself, right? So let's cross-reference this. Light kick +4, that adds up. Startup 3, so that means I have an active frame on frame 4, which it says hit frame 4. So if this just had one more advantage, I could technically link it into itself, and then I would have that hit confirm with Elena. Wow, groundbreaking. Watch what happens if I actually get a meaty light kick. Oh, I actually hit that meaty. And I lost frame advantage is now +2. So they specifically looked at that, was like, nah, you can't have that. Nah, we're gonna reduce that. That's like a troll. Why would they do that? It's not nice. I don't appreciate it. So active frames are not uniform in Third Strike. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Oh, leave me a comment if I'm wrong about anything. Please, I'm begging you. Please tell me if I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong and learn something new. Make sure you like the video and subscribe. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you learned something. I'm AutoMattock. Peace. Have a nice day. And fade.